All right, everyone. I'm really glad you're here today. Let me start with something most people don't realize until it's already too late. Before December 31st, there are a few important Social Security steps that can help protect your benefits for the entire year ahead. And what surprises many people is how missing just one small detail can lead to lower payments, delays, or unexpected deductions once January arrives. What makes this especially frustrating is that there are usually no reminders, no letters, no warnings, no checklist showing up in the mail. That's why today I want to walk through what's still worth double-checking before the year ends, and what you should keep an eye on as the new year begins. And as we go through this, make sure you're subscribed and give this a quick like so these reminders reach others who may need them too. There's one item we'll cover later that almost no one checks, yet it causes problems far more often than you'd expect. So stick with me. But before we jump in, let me ask you something real quick. What's one thing about Social Security or Medicare that felt confusing, stressful, or unclear for you this year? It could be anything. Drop it in the comments. Chances are someone else feels the exact same way, and your comment might help them feel less alone. Now let's talk about what actually matters before December 31st. I know the word checklist makes people tune out, but stay with me because these are practical steps that can make a real difference. The first one is arguably the most important: reviewing your Social Security earnings record. Your benefit is calculated using your highest 35 years of earnings. If even 1 year is missing or reported incorrectly, your monthly benefit can be permanently lower. I've seen people lose money every single month for the rest of their lives simply because an employer failed to report income correctly years ago. When you log into your online Social Security account, you'll see your earnings listed year by year. Take a few minutes to scroll through it. If you see a year listed as 0 when you know you worked, or an amount that looks far too low, that's a red flag. Errors can be fixed, but they're much easier to correct sooner rather than later. And if you're receiving disability benefits, this is even more critical. Any work activity, even small amounts of income, must be reported. If it isn't, overpayments can occur, and Social Security may later ask for that money back. Another item to review before the year ends is tax withholding. Many people forget that Social Security benefits can be taxable depending on your total income. If your income exceeds certain thresholds, part of your benefit may be subject to federal taxes. To avoid a surprise bill during tax season, you can choose to have federal taxes withheld directly from your Social Security check. It's optional, but for many people, it provides peace of mind. Along the same lines, it's worth noting that current tax law includes an additional standard deduction for seniors who are 65 or older. This can reduce how much of your income is taxed and help you keep more of what you receive. It doesn't increase your Social Security payment, but it can make a noticeable difference when tax time arrives, and many people still don't realize this is already in place. Now let's talk about something that seems simple, but causes major headaches when overlooked: direct deposit. If your bank account changed this year, your bank merged, closed, or updated routing numbers, it's important to make sure your direct deposit information is current. If a January payment goes to a closed or incorrect account, it can take weeks to resolve. Updating this before December 31st can save you a lot of unnecessary stress. Next, let's shift to Medicare, because this is where confusion often starts once the calendar flips. If you're watching this after the early December deadline, Medicare open enrollment for the upcoming year has already ended. That means most people's plans are now locked in and will begin January 1st. And I want to be clear here. If you missed the deadline, you didn't fail. It simply means your current plan will continue, and the key now is understanding what to expect, so nothing catches you off guard. One of the first changes many people notice in January is the Medicare Part B premium. For the new year, that premium is increasing, and for most people, it's automatically deducted from their Social Security payment. So if your check looks lower than expected, this is often why. Your cost of living increase may be there, but Medicare is taking a larger share, which can make the increase feel smaller than expected. Even though open enrollment has ended, you're not completely out of options. Certain life events, like moving or losing other coverage, can trigger special enrollment periods. There's also a separate Medicare Advantage enrollment window early in the year that allows some people to make changes. Not everyone qualifies, but it's important to know the door isn't fully closed. Now that your plan is set, This is actually the best time to understand how it works. Review your first explanation of benefits carefully. Confirm your doctors are still in network. Check your prescription coverage. Pay attention to any prior authorization requirements. Many Medicare frustrations happen because people learn how their plan works in the middle of a medical issue instead of at the start of the year. Also, remember this. Even though plan enrollment is closed, assistance programs are still available year-round. Programs that help with premiums or prescription costs can still be applied for, and after cost of living adjustments, more people qualify than they realize. Speaking of the cost of living adjustment, let's talk about that briefly. The upcoming increase adds some additional income each month, which certainly helps. But when combined with higher Medicare premiums and rising costs for rent, groceries, and utilities, many people still feel stretched. And this is important. That increase can sometimes push lower-income seniors just over the eligibility limits for programs like SNAP or Medicaid. If you rely on assistance programs, it's a good idea to recheck eligibility rules before the year ends. Another thing to review is your earnings if you started Social Security early and are still working. If you're under full retirement age, there's an annual earnings limit. Exceeding it can cause some benefits to be temporarily withheld. For those receiving disability benefits, income rules are very specific. Reviewing what you earned and making sure it's reported correctly can prevent issues later. Now, here's something almost no one checks, but it causes more problems than you'd expect. Make sure Social Security has your correct mailing address and phone number. Important notices, reviews, and verification requests are often sent by mail. If they go to the wrong address and you don't respond, benefits can be delayed or even suspended. Updating your contact information takes just a few minutes and can save months of frustration. I also want to zoom out for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. Social Security faces long-term challenges if lawmakers don't act in the coming years. That doesn't mean benefits suddenly disappear, but it could mean changes down the road. Making sure your benefit is accurate now is one way to protect yourself moving forward. Every day, I hear from people who worked their entire lives and are still doing their best to make ends meet. Seniors taking on part-time work later in life, helping family members, managing medical costs, and stretching every dollar. That's why these year-end checks matter. They're not about paperwork for paperwork's sake. They're about stability. So let's quickly recap what matters most. Review your earnings record. Consider tax withholding. Update direct deposit. Watch Medicare deductions. Confirm your contact information. And understand how your benefits may change in January. A few minutes now can prevent months of stress later. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's this. Social Security is something you earned. It's not a handout. Taking these steps helps ensure you actually receive what you worked for. If you want to go deeper on any of these topics, leave a comment and let me know. And stay subscribed because the coming year will bring more changes, and I'll be here to explain them clearly and calmly. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you again soon.